I'm here to share with you about the year of the young fire horse. So welcome everyone who made it here in person. So lovely to see you. And welcome to those joining live online. And we also offer a time release welcome to those who listen to this recording throughout the year. Because even though we're all very excited about Lunar New Year, which is today, February 17th, 2026, this is material that we'll refer to again and again and again throughout the lunisolar year. So feel that feeling of blessing that's so special today and in this Spring Festival period. Just go ahead and right now feel it in the whole year. Feel, if you can, all the way into the whole year, because it's accessible to us if now is connected in some way to the past. We can't be in the past. We can't be in the future. But if right here, right now, we can feel that transition and feel that connection to the transition, the procession of what came before and where we're going next, that's really how we time travel, because we can experience that unity on some level. So, let's see, where I want to start is by, first of all, I should introduce myself. My name is Shelton Crute, and I'm the founder and clinical director at Ritual Health. I and my partner, Adam Okerblom, my partner in life and also in work, have this great little clinic in North Berkeley. And we have we have space in Albany, and grand opening in March. We're also going to be in El Cerrito. So that's what we're doing. We also teach. We're a classical-oriented Chinese medicine practice. What we're doing is really connecting with the method of practice that was given to us by our teachers who practice 30, 40 years experience. And we really see it as our job to continue their work. And so we're doing our best to maintain the old ways, because when we work with this Chinese cosmological approach really locked in, you get better diagnosis and you get smoother life, right? And so that's what's going on here. That's what we're doing here, is we're talking about Chinese cosmology, and a very fundamental core principle of Chinese cosmology is the use of time. Because what better definition, or one of the definitions that Ming used to use for qi, is time itself, right? And distance too, because distance is also time. So if you think about that a little bit, sense into that, then you can really feel the importance of coordinating with time. And every day is not the same. Every hour is not the same. Midnight and noon don't feel the same. And we experience this in our lives. Our culture tells us to just treat every day as if it's the same, but we've all had the experience of going to a restaurant and ordering that meal that we know that we love, but it doesn't really taste good because we're not really being present to what's happening now. And so every year has a different quality, and some years are easier for us to harmonize and others are a little bit more difficult. So my objective today is to give you a little bit of that information to help you understand what this year is. So this is what we do in the world in our clinic, is the synthesis of those two. We also teach in doctoral programs around the state and seminars around the country. We're involved in some publishing projects, including I'm on the editorial team for Ming's forthcoming book about Chinese pole star astrology. So watch for that. That's going to be a fun one. And I also teach privately. In fact, thank you to all of my students who are here tonight to help make this this event run smoothly. I really appreciate you. So if you're interested in studying Chinese astrology, you can talk to me. So let's see. How are we doing? We're still not doing. Hey! Hey! Okay. Yeah. Okay. Just in time. The QR code. I want to get that shit out of the way because it's important. This is, so go ahead and whip out your phone if you didn't already and use the QR code to donate. This is not going to me. A lot of energy goes into putting this talk together, and we are passing the money that we receive on to Family Law Violence Center. Whoops. Uh-oh. Come on, we want to support Family Law Violence Center. They are a, who is Family Law Violence Center? Where did my thing go? Okay, they're a nonprofit in Oakland that help people leave domestic violence situations. So they work with safety planning and restraining orders, custody paperwork and legal processes, that kind of stuff. You know, when you're trying to get out of a negative situation and you also have to think about legal, that's challenging. So we want to support them. I'm a little distracted by the slide situation, but we'll get there. Okay.
Just leave it up after me.
Okay.
There we
So, but I'm going to leave and let the drama of the technology continue to unfold and try to focus. I'm a little dependent on looking at my slides to talk.
Do you want me to be just looking?
No. Yes. That's a great idea. Thank you. Good thinking. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, but I'm not talking about that now. You can just leave it. We're good.
No, we're good.
Home.
I'm just
Sorry.
going to leave this here until
You're
that
fine.
is consistent.
That's fine. Okay. So let's talk about astrology in modern context. Okay. I first studied with Liu Ming back in 2003. And everything that he taught me about Chinese astrology, about Chinese medicine, about Chinese cosmology, I mean, I studied a lot of stuff with him. There's a lot of people who studied other things that I never even touched. But I spent 12 years studying Chinese pole star astrology. And then after doing hundreds and hundreds, 400 plus case studies, I finally started practicing Chinese pole star astrology. For me, it was about understanding why we're here, what this is. It was kind of meant to be a device to help me practice medicine better. And then when I realized I could use it really effectively for prognosis, and when I understood how our health problems tend to come all kinked up and locked up with life decisions and parsing out stuff that happened to us in the past and pressures about the future and all that stuff, then I one of my Chinese medicine mentors was like, you're gonna mess up your karma if you don't. It's bad karma if you don't just do this. And so I was like, oh my God, because I grew up in the South and astrology is really weird. For me, it's like I never wanted to be an astrologer. That's really weird stuff. Who does that? So Ming really challenged my assumptions. I thought that astrology was ridiculous, that it was superstitious, completely lacking data, like religion, an opiate for the masses or something like that. And I didn't know its fundamental history in China, like what it was. I didn't know that astrology is like a carrier for the view. And for culture and real wisdom. Now, it isn't always used like that. There are astrologers who don't practice astrology in a way that reinforces the view teachings of the tradition. But, back Tang Song dynasty up through Qing dynasty, and that was just last century, folks. The astrology department in the imperial court was some 1,800 to 2,000 people. And what they were doing was holding a container for living in continuity with history and culture. And they were working to help the government make decisions that coordinated the movement of the people with time, not against it. That was the role. Yes?
That's not going to work.
Okay.
So you should take this because you need to see your slides.
No, I'm fine.
You don't need to see your slides.
No.
Okay, you don't want this.
I'll just leave it right there. Just what we're doing is good. Just turn it back toward me, and you don't get slides today, huh?
How are you gonna toggle it? How are you
Huh?
gonna? I think you need to hold this. I think you need.
I don't need. Can you just leave it there,
Yeah,
and
sure.
then Carrie will move it for me, and these guys will have a slide presentation. They're real pretty. Too bad. It's okay. You can watch it on the look at it on the website later or something. Anyway,
Helping the government.
yeah. No,
1800
leave
to
it there.
2000.
No, I know what I was talking about. You're good. I think we're fine there. Okay. So the foundations of astrology. Okay, astrology is the term we're going with, but it's not really astrology. Because I think today we think of astrology as being a system that's tracking the exact planetary locations, and this is a calculation that originated in astrology. And in the old world, that the divination and astrology department that I was just referring to a moment ago, an astrologer was an astronomer, so the math was there, the calculations were there. They were also a historian and record keeper, and they were the holder of the cultural tradition. Now this like modern obsession with natal charts, with like I'm going to have my astrology and look at a little piece of paper and talk about it. That's a very, very new addition in the history, in the 8,000-year tradition of understanding the rhythms of time. It wasn't important to look at each individual citizen's natal astrology. It wasn't something that we really cared about. What we really cared about was almanac astrology. I'm not saying that natal astrology isn't very helpful. It's super helpful, and they had that technology for a long time, but it wasn't widely used by the public, at least. In fact, astrology was really a state secret. It was a matter of national security, and so it was closely guarded, and it wasn't used for the public. It was really only used for the court. To let that get out would have actually put the country at peril, because if you're using astrological calculations to figure out which direction to enter the battlefield, and the other guy is too, then what do you think is going to happen? It's not as good. So that stuff was kept on lock. So the point here about this is I just want you to understand the overall larger idea of what astrology can mean. And what's important about this is that the phenomena around us reflects the calculation, not the other way around, okay? So this modern distrust or mistrust of astrology, it has something smart going on. I mean, you've all seen the memes, like if you're an a-hole, it's because you're an a-hole, not because of Mars, or if you're flaky and don't have your stuff together, it's not because Mercury is retrograde, it's like because you don't have it together, right? So in fact, we agree with you, because we would say Mars is doing what it's doing, Jupiter is doing what it's doing, and Venus is doing what it's doing, and also you're doing what you're doing, right? Your participation, Mars's participation, Jupiter's, Venus's, everybody's participation here is describing the rhythm at play. Our movements and activities are describing what the rhythm at play is dictating. So this is why we don't care about the exact degree of a specific planet, because that is material absolutism. We're looking at the underlying rhythm, the underlying pattern that that planet is reflecting, and it might be a little different every year. Jupiter might not be exactly 12 years in its cycle. It might be like 11 years, 354, 50, whatever, okay? You see what I'm saying here? So it's the same way as when you cut your finger, you heal. Your finger goes back to being finger shape. It's not like, a lizard tail grows out of it. And when a lizard breaks its tail off, it doesn't grow a human finger. It knows what to go back to because the pattern is already there. So what we're doing tonight is familiarizing ourselves with the relevant patterns for this year. These patterns are so big and long-standing that sometimes our cultural grid, like the cultural goggles we have on, has trouble holding them. So sometimes the material can feel a little bit edgy, where the observations of the patterns rub up against our conditioning. And that's why I find this work so irresistible, because it shows me my own assumptions. It reflects back to me what I assumed to be true, but hadn't actually chosen. And then I get a chance to either opt out of that belief structure or opt back into it because I understand that it's harmonious with the movements and patterns of nature. And this allows me the chance to live more in accordance with the way of things. Okay? So opening that investigation is really what astrology is about. And I see this every day in clinic too, because my patients are making difficult decisions in their lives. And everyone's head seems so full of voices of judgment from people who aren't even there, or people who said something when they were really young, and they might not even feel that way anymore, but it's stuck in their head and they're trying to decide, like, should I marry the guy? And it's like, all this pressure can be really, really intense. So the tapes still play, and sometimes then you meet people where it didn't even come from anywhere. It didn't come from early life. Where did it come from? It's an ancestral patterning, and that's what we look at in the natal chart, right? So in an acupuncture treatment, I'm still treating the burping and the farting and the migraines or the anxiety or whatever. But the treatments, like, they firm up that sense of being whole, and then a desire, a courage to chart the best path for the moment can emerge, and we want it to harmonize with natural cycles. So what we're doing tonight is kind of meeting it from the other end. Like in clinic, we're kind of meeting it from like inside out, and here we're kind of going intellectually outside in. And my hope for you is that you don't take my word for anything, but you sense into, you give yourself the chance to sense into the larger truths that are available through this cosmological system, because it's very rich, very old, and very helpful. So welcome to the year of the Yang Fire Horse. Slide 5. Okay. So let's talk about, it's not even.
It's not even.
Everything.
Okay.
This year has already really started. Did any of you hear the thunderstorm this morning?
Oh, God, yeah.
Y'all, we had a thunderstorm at Dragon Hour. How perfect is that on Lunar? Also, we already had an eclipse today. Like, we've already done a lot of things. We've gotten through so much. So, oh, thank you. Okay, so we're in sexagenary cycle number 43. That's stem. This is the technical crap. Okay, stem 3, Yang fire, branch 7, horse. According to a tradition that already existed for hundreds of years, but then was written down in 1590 Common Era by some guy, doesn't matter to you. This and the next year together form a pair that they called the Milky Way, which is interesting. Last year and the year before were something about, like, I don't know, a candle. I can't remember, but it's sort of interesting to feel the progression. And this 2-year cycle is a positive auspice for future success, but don't be lazy. Yeah. Take strong steps toward goals, big life changes on the horizon. And the associations of this time are the 5th lunar moon, so June, July. This whole year is going to have some quality of June, July. That's when the summer solstice happens. The summer solstice is big yang. It's the longest day of the year, the most available sunlight. We can see what's happening finally after a yin-wood snake year, which was all subterfuge. We can see what's happening finally now. And yet, at summer solstice, what is happening but the culmination of the yang and the birth of the yin? So we're actually on this sweep from ascending yang from rat year, like 6 years ago, right? From rat year up to now, we're on this ascending yang, and then it kind of like the Tai Chi diagram, right? Swoops around, and now we have the birth, the dot in the middle of the Tai Chi diagram, yin yang symbol, yin yang symbol. The dot is the seed of the other. So we have the birth of the yin that's going to come and take us all the way back around to the winter solstice vibe, and that's the progression. You're fine. The other association is noon, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's the double hour associated with horse every day. So you get horse. You've already got lots of experience with horse, not just 12 years ago and 12 years before that. Big ups to people who are pregnant, having a baby this year, or have a 12-year-old at home, or here maybe. This is a good. I'm glad you guys are here. Get some pointers for those little wood horses that are turning 12, or anyone turning 24, 36. You get the idea, okay? But right, 48, yeah.
60.
But yeah, 60. Yeah, those are our fire horses. All right. Okay. That's kind of like now for Chinese style, like you can vote now. Like now you're an adult. Because that means you've made it through all 60 of all 59, and then you're back to 60. You've got a complete set now. You don't have the yin and yang, but you have the 5 element set of all 12 animals under your belt. So good. You can tell us something. All right. So this whole year, if this year were like this whole year is noontime vibe. This whole year is summer vibe. This whole year is really bright, really bright, like light, bright, not just bright, encouraging. Like it's that, and it's also, every year has its pros and cons, but it's a lot of movement. So yang is at its apex, and the seed of yin is here, beginning to emerge. The stem of the year is yang fire. So horse already means fire because, right, it's like we've moved to the most yang part of the year, the most yang part of the 12-year cycle, the most yang part of the day. So horse already means fire, but this year is a yang fire year. So fire means fire, and yang also means fire. So welcome to the fire year. I could just as easily be saying, right? It's like kind of, there's 3 words, it's very redundant. It's pretty obvious. Like, okay, we can go home now, that was it, basically. So when we see these two together, yang fire with horse, we see a lot of activity, a lot of movement. Every animal has a native element. So, if it feels too reductive to say, okay, there are 12 animals, that means types of time. They don't really have anything to do with animals at all. You could just as easily call them 1 through 12. We just call them by the animals so that we can remember them. But if it feels too reductive to say, okay, there's only 12 kinds of people and 12 types of time, we multiply that by 5 for the 5 elements, and that's how we get 60. And then you multiply it again by 2 for yin and yang, and that's how you get the full set of 120. So every animal has a native element, and the native element of horse is yang fire. So, last year we were in snake year, and snake's native element is yin fire. Is yin fire. And last year was a yin wood snake year. So last year we were kind of dealing with, okay, there's this like yin wood capacity, but there's this native urge, desire to be like more comfortable in yin fire. We talked about this last year, that smoldering kind of burning. Did anyone feel that last year? But that wood, I don't know what to do. Wait, really? Is that really what's happening? Oh, I'm so depressed. Like that's kind of what snake year felt like for a lot of people, right? This is yang fire horse year, and horse's native element is yang fire. So it's like everything is right at home, seated in what it wants to be. So it's extra, okay? It's extra. It's extra. Yeah. So when we see these two together, we see lots of activity, movement. We see inquisitiveness. That alive, awake quality is what's associated with this kind of fire. Like fire is associated with the heart, right? So consciousness, but also the blood, like small intestine makes the blood. And fire is, and horse is associated with that sense of heart, that sense of purpose. So that inquisitiveness and consciousness and awareness is pulled forward this year. Everything that was hidden last year is made explicit. Everything that was implicit becomes actionable. Now, traditionally, the main thing we would say about this year is travel, okay? And that might be for pleasure more likely than business, but business is still fine. Like that movement from rat up to horse is kind of an external moving to public life kind of thing. And then when we move from horse back around, we're moving back toward the private sphere. So this is kind of this harmonization point between inner and outer, public and private. And we want those things to be balanced. So when we have an outer world that doesn't seem like it matches the values that we hold dear, that are core to our heart, this is the year when we fix it, because we're connected with that heart and we can see it. And we know that we want that value-based living that we're to circle back around. We want that connection from our public sphere world where we are to move back around into the private realms. And we have to do something externally in the world to defend that. So mobilization might mean travel. That's going to be more like what Ming would say, Hong Kong street level fortune telling. Kind of, I don't mean any disrespect to like fortune tellers. It's like, great. I mean, go just pay $5, read my palm. That's fine. But like cosmologically, what we want to say is something, there's something a little deeper going on than just, let's buy tickets to, the Bahamas, honey. It's a little bit more, let's act, let's move, make something happen. Okay.
Next one.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So, some people might hear what I just said and feel a little nervous immediately. Like, that sounds a little aggressive and intense. But also think to yourself what the nature of the horse that you've seen in the farm, right, means. And it's an incredibly sensitive animal. It's a very typically gentle giant, and it can be formidable, but it's very aware of its circumstances, and it wants to run in a herd. So this is a year for collaboration. Although horses are very much individuals. We're gonna actually maybe have to hold up some pictures at some point later. No, not yet. We're not there yet, because I have some historical images that are really important for y'all to see, because this won't happen next year when we're doing goat, because like goat, sometimes people call it sheep, like it's a herd, like there's no individual sheep. Maybe some people name their sheep, but like sheep are like, they are a collective. Like they're the Confucian, they're the Confucian animal. They are like all the same sort of, but horses, like, I've got names of horses from the Tang Dynasty that I'll show you art that was made of them because they were such impressive horses. I'm telling you, like, horses are individuals. So this is a year where your individual role must be played, right? We don't all have to do the same thing to be contributing to whatever the herd needs, but we all do have to be our unique individual selves, and we all do have to act. So this is a year about forming those alliances and remembering and connecting with those values. If the alliances need to shuffle a little bit, they'll shuffle according to those values. So it's a lively time. All right. So the auspice for the year. The nice version And then the other version, right? The nice version looks like travel, meeting with friends, business action, pleasure, upward social mobility. It could also look like, like martial law. Other kinds of mobilization. Gathering with others to determine an action plan, and then forwarding with that action plan. But basically, whatever happens, it's a don't be lazy year after a period of transition that we've been in, of waiting, of wondering what was happening. There's been so much stimuli, so much realization, so little clarity about what to do, but now it's clear. Do you guys, can you feel that shift already? Like now there's okay, we're gonna like call a spade a spade if it looks like right? You know what I mean? Like everywhere. Did you guys see, did any of you guys watch One Battle After Another? Yeah. I spent the first half of it, I could barely actually follow the plot because I was like, oh, we're really saying this. We're really saying this. This is actually being made by Hollywood. What? I couldn't believe it, But it's like that across the board. It's like that in private life too. So, it's kind of like we're either already in a dictatorship, like we're already in a dictatorship, or we're not. Do you guys see what I mean? Like, we might not already be in this is where we can do time travel. Because if we play Fire Horse year right, then right now and last year, we were not in a dictatorship. We were just in this sludgy, the process is working through and we needed a minute to figure out what we were doing moment. Or we're in a dictatorship. I don't know. I can't. This is not, the point of astrology is not to predict the future. And if you have someone who's doing that, then, I would suggest that you say thank you and move along. So we can see the energy of the thing, but we can't see how the thing is going to actually look, right? So there's really no in between with that. Personally and globally, it's a very positive auspice for taking strong steps toward future goals, whatever they may be. And we won't know what this year means until later. We also, you remember Dragon Year 2 years ago? That was like tons of, I think one of the things I told y'all in Dragon Year was when you think about the 60s, like you have this whole, this is what the 60s was. But historians say that 1964 was the year that made the 60s what we think of as the 60s. Do you guys remember me talking about this? Well, yeah, you weren't there. I just met you, but that's what I said. You're up to speed now. I caught you up. Okay. Well, it's like that. We don't know what the wood dragon from 2 years ago meant. We won't know yet. But the things that started then, we are now ready to take action on. And what action looks like and what that action will mean, we won't know until a lot later. But this time in history is, it's a really big, enormous shift that's just going to change everything. And so, last year gave us the clues that we need to know. We don't have to know about the future. We just need to know what to do with right now. So, all right. So it's a year that tends to push things to the surface. It's a year where it would be very easy to burn up all your jing, too, and overdo. So don't do that. Know your role. Know your role and schedule rest.
Could you explain Jing a little bit more?
Oh, Jing is like your essence. Jing is like your juiciness,
Is it similar to Ojas?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Comparable to Ojas for the Ayurveda people in the room. Yeah. Okay. So, at ease. The ones where I really need to read are later, so it doesn't really matter right now. Okay, thanks. You're so so helpful. But you're making me nervous because I know you want to help, and I'm like, I want to help you help. Okay. All right. So there are different ways of calculating the year. Some people will say that today is the first day of the year, but it's the lunar year. The solar year, according to Chinese tradition, started about two weeks ago. And if you look at it from the old, like 4,000 years ago way, you would begin from the rat month, which is more like what the Celtic calendar or the Jewish calendar does. Like a autumn, Halloweeny, Samhain, like last harvest means end of year, and then period of dormancy as the new world dreams into being. So this is all packed into the Chinese way. So, we're at about we're not quite up to year 5,000, but we're getting up in the upper 400s, upper 4,000s if you're using that calendar, but it's not important. We're not going to fixate on that. What's important for you to know is that this is a natural calendar, unlike the Gregorian calendar. So the calendar, that means it's properly calibrated to the seasons. I went on a huge rant about this last year, and I don't know, probably most of you know that the Gregorian calendar is stupid. Are we all present to the fact that I'm getting a little bit of fuzzy looks. I'm just going to give you the brief version.
Can you elaborate?
I would be happy to elaborate on why the Gregorian year is stupid. Okay, actually, summer solstice, right? That's in the Gregorian calendar. That's when we say that that summer begins, right? Summer solstice.
Idiots.
Tell me, how does it make sense that we say that summer has begun on the longest day of daylight, on the longest day of the year? How is that not the middle of summer? Are you with me, right?
Totally with.
Yeah. And the same with winter solstice. Yes.
I think that's
The disruptor.
No, I have an answer.
I imported him from New York for this exact purpose.
I think the longest day of the year is the year that not a single person can deny that it's summer.
He says that the longest day of the year is the year that not a single person can deny that it's summer. What do you mean? Because
This
it's
is reality.
so hot and baking?
Well, people are dissociated all the time and thinking that different things are happening, but it's just everybody agrees. That's my.
Okay. I don't know. For me, the longest day of the year is election day.
There's evidence for that.
Yeah. But basically, winter solstice is the middle of winter. Summer solstice is the middle of summer. And the points in between those where we have the equinoxes, that means day and night are equal, they are the middle of spring and autumn. And a lot of modern people are going to be like, why does that matter? And I'm going to say, let me tell you. This is why we have such a hard time recognizing that a thing is a thing. We were just talking about how, now in young fire horse year, we're ready to just name what's actually happening because we're at the full youngest young of a 60-year cycle. We couldn't do that earlier. That's because of something that's going on with our culture, not teaching us and training us from a very early age how to recognize the signs of spring right now. The spring on the Chinese Qi node calendar started with the solar New Year about 2 weeks ago. And I'm going to do a whole monthly online class about this if you guys want to know how to live this, because the calendar gives us activities of it helps us coordinate our lives with this so that we can recognize what season it is. And why does that matter? Because I don't know, have you guys ever stayed in a relationship or a job too long? Beyonce wrote a whole song about it. If you you should have put a ring on it, right? Something like that, right? It's that is about the Gregorian calendar. That is a song that is saying you should have noticed you were in a relationship and done something about it if you wanted to stay in it. But why do we have a hard time noticing when we're doing something already, I have people in my practice all the time who are saying, you know, they're like 42 and they're like, I don't know if I want to have kids. I'm not ready yet. I'm like, you're 42. I mean, like, that's cool. You can still have, I mean, I had a baby at 42. Who am I to talk, right? This is like not a judgment, but like it's the I'm not ready yet rather than the I've made a choice that I'm taking issue with. It's like, just notice that you've made a decision. And why can't we notice it? Why are we like in this delay on this delay on our maturation? That's a uniquely American issue, I think. I have a lot of what we speak to with this material is addressing Western culture, contemporary Western culture, but this particular thing is especially American. And it's really important because we need to know when to say, actually the data is in, and you know, what this politician is doing is not good for us, or actually the data is in and I need to look for a new job, and like do the thing, like see that it's happening. So there's a really deep psychological impact. We've really been gaslit by the calendar, and it makes us less durable to change, and it makes us sticky, and it makes it hard for us to let go. But I still like winter. Can't we like call it winter like when Gregorian New Year, like when Gregorian calendar says it's winter, which is it's spring. I mean, I really like winter. I want it to be winter until the equinox. Like, no, I'm sorry. We can't have like flowers all in full bloom and only the. And hold on. The people on the East Coast are saying we're locked under ice and it is cold. It really does feel like winter to us. And I hear you. And also, have you not noticed that the light has lengthened? You know? And have you guys looked on the map at how much farther north Europe is than the United States? I have like a shower curtain. And I'm always like, I just look at it and stand in the water. And it has like the lines, the latitudinal lines on there. And sometimes I like trace from California and I'm like, oh my Lord, like it's like southern Spain and, you know, Washington, DC and the Bay Area are all on the same, something like that. I'm generalizing. But that means that, I don't know, where my ancestors are from, which is much farther north, I mean, they get these long sunrises and long sunsets. It's very interesting sky when you're closer to the poles. It's really different when you're at the equator. It's like sunrise, sunset. The transition is like sharper, you know? Okay, let's get back to the horse. Yeah, so let's go. So we want to calibrate to the natural year. That's what we're doing. That's why we do this. And that's why this talk is free online. And people, I mean, I had people who were asking me to look at my snake talk from last year as recently as like last month, because we're like, okay, how do I? So the last thing I want to say about the cosmology is that this is a processional framework. And this should also bring some comfort for those with nerves about the horse here. I'm talking to my rats and my rabbits, you know. Rabbits are actually fine, but they just get nervous about things. Rats, a little harder. Yeah, the other animals who are going to have a harder time, like they don't really care. They're going to have a harder time. So the processional framework is important because this will bring comfort. There's no evolution in Chinese cosmology because there's no beginning and there's no end. All things that have beginnings have ends. But, you know, I mean, just go into your own experience. You don't, like, this is where I don't want you to take my word for it. Like, do you remember a beginning? There are events, but they had, you know, cofactors and lingering ramifications, right? I mean, I've had children through my own body. There's an event where it's like, but you can't really call that the start. The start's very mysterious of anything. And death, if you've ever held someone's hand while they die, when is that? You know, it's very, so we live in a processional environment according to this tradition. And it's cyclical, yes. but it's not evolutionary. Things aren't getting better, they're not improving. And get rid of that like California New Agey, like it's a spiral thing, because that's still got like a beginning and an end. It's just all wound up in it. You know what I mean? So this is like, the Chinese didn't, you just don't really find it in the literature. The Chinese would enact something that they would expect not to see a result from for several thousand years. Living in that kind of a way is very different from what we're accustomed to. So that is really, like if you're going to start something and say, hey, everybody do this because it'll be great in 3,000 years, it just really suggests that you don't have an idea of anything ending. And you don't have an idea of a beginning. And also, you're not that important, but you also are connected to everything. You're connected in that way to something that's going to result in 3,000 years. But a result is not a finality, which is kind of like a language thing about English that we come up with when we talk about these concepts. So, everything is simply just so. And what appears to be improvement or decline is really an interplay of yin and yang. So as some circumstances improve, others decline, and that's the natural way of things. And so our classical texts return us to this idea again and again. When we feel up, we would do well to remain humble and not take credit. That's a time to be generous, recognize that we didn't get here on our own. And it's very often being up is a function of timing, not necessarily effort. And when we're down, we don't have to take it so personally. We know that when we're up, what rises will fall. And when we're down, we practice generosity in those times too. And we don't go quite so low because we understand that that's also just a function of time. And we remember that there are many others that we share circumstances with. Our families, we have this like ancestral arc, right? There's like this rhythm of our ancestral chi. That's what our natal astrology reads. It's this like larger rhythm. And then our particular unique thread within that. And this is simple pattern recognition. It's not really woo. It's kind of, Ming used to joke, it's no more psychic woo than saying that in 6 months you'll need a bathing suit. You know what I mean? This is just elaborate pattern recognition and coordinating with that. So we're sharing circumstances with our communities, our nation, our world. It's like we're not so separate. And when we remember that, that alone coordinates us with the time. Okay. So this 12-year cycle that we're in, it's called the Tai Sui, and that translates as the Great Year. And it's a way that they tracked the planet Jupiter. Because the position in the sky of Jupiter matches the sun throughout the year, and the Tai Sui matches the sun throughout the year. And this led to the concept of the Great Year. Those 12 years that were originally called branches, now we call them by the animals. And basically what it does is it kind of makes a cycle, but it falls behind by 1/12. Okay, and so it's proceeding like this, but then do you see how my other hand kind of looks like it's moving backwards, right? You see what I mean? Okay, so that's the 12 animal cycle, and it's really tracking the position of Jupiter. And it makes it look like it's going backwards the way that if you're on the fast train and the slow train next to you looks like it's going backwards, but you know that they're both going forward. That's what we're talking about. They named the planet that moves the correct direction Tai Sui. And they called them by the 12 animals so that we can remember the rough energy of the time they denote. So technically speaking, you could tell where Jupiter is positioned in the sky based on which animal year it is, okay? And then the Chinese calendar calibrates that Jupiter 12-year cycle into 60, into 120, into 180. There's like different versions with the solar index, the 28 lunar mansions. Then you have like the lunation has a specific animal association, and the hour that you're in, it all packs up, and then there are hexagrams for the day and hexagrams for the 6-day cycle. And then you have like a whole package of almanac to coordinate with. And so that's what we're talking about. We're talking about almanac astrology in comparison to your natal astrology. Your natal astrology is going to give you information about your fate to do things versus your free will. You get both in this system. It's really great. The Eurocentric idea of fate is that traditionally in like old Europe, they viewed reality as being very fated, like an it's all God's will kind of thing. But then later by the Enlightenment period, especially by the Industrial Revolution, we see a rejection of that. And so the European view became there's no fate, only free will. And this is the influence of early science. It's continued up to today. So now we have we have a big division in Western culture where you have spaces where you can go into strongly religious, usually communities where there's an acknowledgement of fate and that it's really beyond our control entirely, or this more scientific rational idea where we can, where it's all up to us and there's no such thing as fate. And I think that's one of the things that's very uncomfortable for moderners, for contemporary Westerners, is that we want a third space where we can investigate something scientifically, but not be so stuck in a materialistic paradigm that we can't like move, you know? And we want to experience spirituality in a way that, you know, isn't quite so locked in. The Asian metaphysical systems don't really have this conflict, broadly speaking. They all handle it a little bit differently. But generally, there's fate and free will both. So you can do something about your difficulties. That's free will. You can make things better for yourself or worse, right? And you also have some amount of content that's inherited. Male pattern baldness, alcoholism, perfect pitch. These are fated factors. Think epigenetics, right? So your natal chart will show stronger fate for success in one area of life or another. And if you focus on that segment, you can unlock the whole life like a crowbar that was given to you by your ancestors. If you know where to put it, you get better leverage. And they're not mutually exclusive. You get both. Yeah, so the important thing though is that you don't actually need to know a whole lot of stuff about your fate, about your Ming, your destiny. If you know the almanac really well, then you just do what's indicated for the almanac. So it's great if you have your natal chart reading done, but if you don't, you can work just directly with the time as it is. So, all right. So let's talk about the transition. There we go. Aren't they pretty?
Yeah.
They're so pretty, these slides.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I. Show and tell.
Okay, so what was snake year anyway? Snake time was obscured. I have a slide here. It's got like the snake image going, what the? And then it's got the horse image that's going, just do it. Okay? So like snake year was very much like we either couldn't see or couldn't agree on what was happening. And if we could, then we couldn't even coordinate about what to do. And horse year is now like know your role, take action. So the water snake, oh, you guys are missing these memes I've collected throughout the year. Oh my gosh. We're just gonna leave that open at the end so you can come by and look. But basically the yin with snake year was about the unknown, sleep, dream, death, also revelation, mysticism, right? Many people experience it as confusing and disorganized. There was like a sense of fits and spurts. We saw a lot of underhanded deals, did we not? There were plenty of colossal failures. There was a lot of depression. It was also a really good time to rest because it wasn't a time to act. So hopefully you chilled out and got comfortable with not knowing. You know, everyone kind of this year had to figure out how to be okay, even when things were like not okay. You know, so this was a year to really tap into that. Underhanded deals, and also like what's going on? Doge, you know, like did our government kidnap another sovereign nation's president this year in a secret attack? Like that kind of thing is not very horse here. So it's a good year to find out. It was a good year to find out what was really going on, and yet also not really be clear about it. Like, you know, what's interesting about the Epstein files to me is that they both say nothing and everything, and they function as confirmation, but also not. Like nobody can do anything with it. The one person who's in jail is a woman, and how many men? I mean, you know. And also, this is the part that really is snake to me. Is it touches everybody, like icons on the left and the right. Noam Chomsky, academia. I mean, and we already knew, right? I mean, didn't we already know? We already knew. We already knew for a long time. So, yeah. So last year we talked about that, like. Smoldering quality and that illusion of helplessness. It's an illusion. We really weren't helpless, but we felt helpless. So we didn't do anything. Last year I also gave you the survival kit for snake time, which was the Buddha, because the fourth month associated with snake is also the month of the lunation of the Buddha's birth. And you know, he had a high capacity to sit with the unknown, just sit there and feel like, wow, everything's happening. Okay, like, you know, yeah, Buddhism. And then the other thing I gave you for your snake year survival kit was the Monkey King legend, right? The Monkey King doesn't take, this is like Hanuman-esque, right? The kind of Chinese version of Hanuman. The Monkey King doesn't take things seriously. He's the exact opposite of snake, which is so, snake energy is so incredibly penetrating. It's into every single thing and sees all the way down and under and through. It's so intense. And Monkey King is just like dancing along the top, and you know, there's no obstacle for the Monkey King, like none at all. It's just the Monkey King finds life to be a play, Leela, and it's like we had a little Chinese pole star astrology field trip with my students, and we all went to see, or some of us went to see the Monkey King production at the San Francisco Opera. It was a world premiere. It was amazing. If it ever comes back, y'all, you have to see it or look online for videos. It was so amazing, but I thought that the librettist made a very interesting decision when they made one of the main themes that they came back to again and again is like, form is emptiness, emptiness is form. Form is emptiness. So if things felt, in snake year, if things felt really, really serious, it's like, okay, this is like too much form. This is all like, this is not really, this is not serious. This is not, all, it's like, it's serious, but it's not serious. I'm not saying things weren't serious, but they also were, like there's something insubstantial underneath it, right? But also you can't go too far into that. You need to come back out and act. And so we're in the form year. This is like form, but it's form in transition. Earth years are really where we're going to see stabilization. This isn't a year that's really going to necessarily provide stability, but it is going to provide a mandate to act. Okay? I was going to put up a meme that that Omkar sent to me during the year, which was just attributed to the Buddha. We have no idea who really said it, but it sounds like the Buddha to me. It was, things are not what they appear to be, nor are they otherwise. Like, it's exactly what it is. So let's go, okay, people, let's go. So the first half of that sentiment is snake, and the second half of that is horse. So when you get the two together, snake and horse, you really have wisdom, right? We basically were never going to get there just in snake on its own. All the truths of the shadows and the depths feel so important and special and exciting. They're like only part of the story if we don't take it into action and do something. So, you know, we want to be careful that we don't revert back into surface level movement with a, whew, glad that's over kind of an affect. Instead, we need to take the message and derive the meaning and act bravely from a place that's informed by snake. Okay, so the horse image is great yang at maximum power. It's just do it. It's sun at its height. It's stop. Yeah, here's the thing. Stop thinking about the fussy nervous system, erratic modern horses that you've seen. Like stop thinking about race horses who like go oops and they snap their ankle if they sneeze. You know, this is like a brave, sturdy war horse image. It's a super masculine leadership image. It's solar, it's solid, it's powerful and fast, it's resilient, collaborative, built for crisis. You read my mind. This is the tea pet that Corinne put on my tea. Oh, I need to have some tea. Oh, thank you. Do you see this? My rat friend over here sat down and she said, that's a chunky horse. It looks so silly. And I was like, no, this is accurate. This is, we'll show you some pictures in a little bit. This is accurate. Do you see this big butt? Yeah. Yeah. Like it's a lot of muscle. It's a lot of speed. Okay. This is a tea pet. So anyway, yeah. Thank you. Oh, great. All right. So the horse is actually really a lot like the dragon, but it's like the feet on the ground version. We're going to talk about that a little bit. There's a little more mystical level of that we'll get to in a little bit. But that dragon kind of like impressive speed, remarkable. I mean, you got to think about the cultures. You can just look in history at the cultures who didn't have horses, because they definitely recorded when they got to see them for the first time. And they were like, you guys. You know, so that kind of sparkly thing, horses have a lot of like, horse nature has a lot of like leadership capacity, but it's also team oriented and it's on the ground, unlike a dragon. So it's here with you. So like social, competitive, but teamwork, like comrade vibes, like comrades, you know, that's the vibe of horse. It's leadership that's really connected to the herd and knows from their unique, finicky individual view what needs to happen and has the leadership and individualism and like courage and capacity to follow that thread through without trying to be a sheep, you know, because they're herd, but they're not. I mean, anyone who's like a horse person will tell you about how, well, that one, you know, only hangs out with that one on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and this one's gluten-free, or, you know what I mean? Like, they all know the dynamics. It's like probably like a whole soap opera out there, except more just in the fact that they're individuals, not necessarily the drama. Horses are not really drama. I shouldn't have said that. They're not drama-oriented. They're really, in fact, emotionally, they want to do so much that they end up doing a lot for other people, that like stuff that no one really asked them to do, because that's how they connect. They're like, let me do that, let me do that, let me do that. And other animals don't necessarily really relate to that. Like you can't like do other people in friendship. And actually, Ming used to talk about, especially wood horses beware. So those of you with a 12-year-old right now in your house, or those of you who are turning 72, right? You guys can tell us all about it. But the wood horses are, horses in general really can be taken advantage of. Like if they, horses aren't really the loyalty animal, that's more dog. But horses are loyal to a great cause or like an effort, you know, or like a a mission kind of thing, which might be the marriage, it might be the family. So it looks like interpersonal, but for them, it's doing the thing that needs to be done, you know? And sometimes horses say, I love you through acts of service. And so if they get linked up with someone who wants servitude on some level, then horses really can get abused until they finally notice that they're being taken advantage of. So coach your 12-year-old kids about that, about boundaries, because that's important for them to know. Caution in general for horses around burnout, around exhaustion. Caution in horse year for all of us around burnout and exhaustion. Impulsive activity, especially in a fire year. Anytime it's a fire year, there's going to be a lot of like impulsivity, hot temper. This is a year where we won't be afraid to like go ahead and confront injustice. Horses are very justice oriented. They're not interested in like the intricate, dramatic social dynamics. They're just like, we're all doing the thing together, right? You're doing your part of the thing together, just like I am, right? Like, what do you mean? There's like a whole level of thing happening. They just don't, they won't see it coming. So, you know, you probably think whether you have a horse in your life and thank them because they probably do a lot of things for you and help make sure that they take care of themselves and rest too. Because they really do want to do. They want to do. This year, caution, nervous system strain, disharmonies of the heart and cardiovascular system, disharmonies with ministerial fire, flaring, autoimmune stuff, mismanagement of chi resources, burning out your energy or your jing, with overdoing. And last but not least, I will say on that topic, Shen disturbance, right? Like mental health issues may come a little bit more forward this year. So, all right. Now we want to be on like 14. Are we on 14?
Oh God.
Oh, no, it's okay. Forget it. Don't worry. No, you're good. Okay. So,
Yes.
all right. We're fine. Okay. So the history of the horse in China is relevant. It bears discussion for a little bit. The horse was originally used as a plow animal, but it was too spirited and it didn't take to it. So they used the ox to a much better end and instead bred the horse for war. So especially by the Qin and Han dynasties, cavalry became a central military arm. So this isn't the modern horse that's like afraid to change turf from grass to concrete. You know, this is like a solid, sturdy, unflinching horse that you can actually ride into battle. And there would even be like, they were trained to continue going into battle even with like ferocious war dogs, which were chow usually, lunging up to disable the horses. Now, it's true, Ming would talk about how if the rider fell, the horse would dash into the woods because they're not like loyalty oriented the way the dog would. The dog will literally sit over the dead body of the rider and protect it, which is like tells you something. That's a teaching about loyalty right there. You know, because like a depleted dog is not going to want to reevaluate. Should I be loyal to the corpse? You know, they're like, no, I already made the decision and I'm too tired to think about it, you know. But horses are, you know, they're out of there, right? So, I mean, a lot of my work has been to textually substantiate all the stuff that Ming used to say as like a Chinese tradition, da 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 da, and Chinese tradition, da 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 da. And with the research, I found the text references and understood the dynastic changes socially and politically to see how they were using this material in different ways. And actually, the horse very often is described as an image that does describe loyalty, but it's more about the mission than the person, right? So they really like to throw their energy directly into a thing. So this horse that I'm going to when I put this on the website, y'all, later, I will put these famous horses. I'll make like a page for the famous horses, the individuals. This horse that Carrie's just gonna lift up and show you is Salusi. This is a Tang Dynasty image. And he carried some emperor in the Tang Dynasty in some decisive battle. And what you're looking at is the groom removing an arrow from his chest. Look at that horse's face. Look at his feet. I mean, if someone were removing an arrow from my chest, I'd probably be like, ah, you know? But he's just like chill. He's all 4 feet on the ground looking at the groom. He's just like, let's go, get this out of here so that we can get back out there. That's horse energy, okay? So this idea of loyalty under fire and the cost of victory and courage and destiny, eyes open. That's the horse that we're talking about. This horse is matter of fact. You want horses on your committee, right? They are roll up their sleeves people. Fun is work, work is fun, great in a crisis. Apocalyptic scene. Well, that's a lot of blood and a lot of bodies. You know, I've got a wheelbarrow out back, and my neighbor Ed, I think he has one too. I'm gonna go get a shovel. Like that's horse in a crisis, you know? They're like, you know, I think we better start boiling some water. You know, the grid is down. We're gonna need some drinking water. Like that's horse, you know? So it's like, you know, meanwhile, like Rabbit's over in the corner crying, and Rat, like no one's seen Rat for weeks at this point, you know? So you know, the horses are very physical. They love challenge, mental challenge, body-based challenge. They don't care, you know. So the drawback here is that this strong endurance means that they don't really know how to stop and rest. So again, if you have a horse in your life, please check on them. Look at what they do for you. It's probably a lot. They're kind of like, horses like the force in the machine that keeps the machine rolling, like from here all the way back down, right? Like, yeah. So, and if you think about it, like, I don't know, I think a lot about how the heart, which is the organ of this time, has to, like, gets blood all the way out to the extremities. And the artery system has musculature in it, which like helps move along the blood. But the veins, venous return, doesn't. It's just relying on like the coasting or the back pressure of what's pushing out. You know, blah, 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 yeah, spiral, heart, muscle, beauty of the body, I know. But like, still, my point. Yes. So that kind of like force that keeps the machine rolling, that's very horse. And it does really have a drawback. So apparently, I just learned this in research for this talk. In the 18th and 19th century London, did you know that they used to work horses to death?
Yeah, workhorse.
Work horses, right? They would usually be carrying riders or pulling carts or pulling something, right? And they would just be worked right up till exhaustion, regularly collapsing from strain, or they'd slip because they're too tired and delirious and they just break a leg, and you know, like a donkey would just refuse, right? And a zebra would bite and kick, and it's like its reflexes won't permit you to abuse them. But a horse will go all the way until they die. And then they would beat them if they fell to encourage them to get up and keep going. You've heard the phrase beat a dead horse, right? And so like, okay, I'd heard some of that stuff before, but okay, this really illustrates how crazy it was. There were carcass collectors to come get these like dead horses that had just like keeled over in the street, and they'd be there for hours or sometimes days and stinking up everything and clogging the street. There were carcass collectors, and they worked on routes rather than answering emergency calls. That's how crazy it was. I think in 1900 there were some 20,000 horses that died in a single year in this manner in London alone. And it was like that. It was an urban problem everywhere. It was like that in New York. So, yeah, I love language of work, right? And so go easy on your horses, especially your elder horses who didn't get the benefit of like therapy is great. Everyone has a therapist now, but not the older generation, right? So be nice to grandpa who, went to work every day. He showed love by like going to that and sitting at that desk, strapping on that cart and pulling it through the streets of London, metaphorically, right? So that is also a way to express love. So, okay, what else do I want to tell you? Let's go to the next horse. All right, this is I don't know the name of this horse, but I do know that he was painted by Han Gan in the Tang. This is a famous painter who there was a title, there was a job description in China to be the, I don't know what they called it, like the horse drawer. I don't know, the official imperial horse painter. That was a thing. That's how important these horses were. And this is a picture that a painting that he made of the emperor's favorite horse. And his name is, I do know his name. His name is Knight Shining White. Knight Shining White, everyone. Look at his face. This is a different kind of face than the other one. It's very tense. It's very alert. It's straining. It's reined in, but it's ready to go. That is this year. The image suggests barely contained force. That is this year, ladies and gentlemen. Barely contained force. It's the raw energy of imperial cavalry. So, what does this year ask of you? Simply to take action authentically with like that open, honest, a little naive horse quality, like so forthright and justice oriented that it's just what you see is what you get. Here I am, So be here. Snake showed you what's happening. And it also showed you your secret hidden desires, which you have a responsibility to act on. This is not about ignoring your desires to like do something you think you should. This is about doing who you really are, being who you really are. Do you. So you know who you are now after Snake. And so now take action. So live from the heart, which horse time associates with. Okay. And then, okay, this is important. This is the emblem of the year. Let me just say, okay, yeah. This is, you guys take a look at this horse. This is a Chinese concept. This is the dragon horse, or a longma. This is, I think, the emblem of the year. And this is a semi-mythological being. It's a chimera of dragon and horse both. It's not a fantasy animal in the Western sense, but instead it represents a deep idea about cosmic power, timing, and transformation. This is the meeting of heaven, dragon symbol, and earth, horse symbol. All my students are like rolling their eyes. They see me do this all day long in class. It's this. Heaven, earth, man, heaven, earth, man, heaven, earth, man, right? This is the meeting of heaven. Longma is the meeting of heaven, the dragon symbol, and earth, the horse part, which is the emergence of the cosmic order. It's viewed in the tradition that when a dragon horse appears, you don't have to show it, it's good, we got it. When the longma appears, it signals that a great ruler or sage has appeared, or it signals the arrival of a whole new cycle or mandate. Which is kind of interesting given that we're in the middle of a 60-year cycle, the middle of a 12-year, the middle of a 60-year cycle, the middle of a 12-year cycle, the middle, like noon is the middle of a day cycle, right? So the longma, the fire, like yang, fire, 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 yang, fire, horse, time, signals this arrival of a new cycle or mandate. This is a creature of transmission. And it carries patterns or messages from the unseen world into the human realm. The most famous example of this, and that's what this picture is, you can find other pictures of dragon horse, but this particular one, oh wait, no, that's not actually the one. There's another one. I'll put it on the website later, but there's this story of in ancient times during the age of the sage king Fuxi, this dragon horse emerged from the Yellow River, right? So dragons are very associated with like springtime, with emergence of yang from deep, locked within yin. They come up through the water and they come up into the sky and they move the weather. That's why it was so amazing when we started our day with thunder, right? That was dragon movement, you know, at dragon hour, by the way, you know. So he emerged from the Yellow River, very dragon, and he had these patterns of dots on his back. And Fuxi studied that pattern and derived, it's called Heitu, right? It's like this river chart, if you translate it. It's like a cosmological diagram about the 5 phases. And it's the origin of the trigrams, of divination, of the structure of the cosmos. So dragon horse is a chimera. It's a carrier of the code of the universe. And this is yang fire horse energy. It's heaven's chi given legs. So I'm not saying, oh, this is a strong horse, right? I mean, this is a horse, the fire horse is a horse animated by celestial fire and intelligence. So there's an association with immortality, with heavenly ascent, with auspicious signs. Sometimes they have wings, scales, dragon's head, like Pegasus vibes. This is, I'll tell you guys can catch me later or ask me a story. Ask me for the story in the questions or something, but I won't get into it. But you got to dig deeper if we don't get to it on the Pegasus myth and the Carthage versus Athens. You know, Pegasus really got corrupted for patriarchal ends, and it's very interesting. But we won't go there now. So this feeling of like horse with the earthiness and the pragmatism, but yet wings, capacity for transcendence, that's all available this year. That inspiration is available this year. And I think it's important to remember that Arjuna in the Mahabharata, the Bhagavad Gita, you know, remember Arjuna? His story is a story of action and duty. It's very, very much a horse story. And remember that Krishna was his chariot driver. So there's horse relevance there too, right? And if you don't know the story of Arjuna, I'd like to share it. He's the greatest of warriors. And there he is out there on the battlefield. And anyway, he has this crisis of purpose. He's looking out across the battlefield. It's go time. This battle has been like, you know, it's been years of organization to get to this moment. And he sees across the battlefield his teachers, his cousins, his friends, people he loves very much. And he realizes that if he continues into this battle, he will have to fight, and he will possibly or probably kill them because he's the greatest of all warriors, right? He's going to kill them. And then he's going to be sad. And he has this existential crisis and kind of freaks out and has a panic attack right there on the field. And he is overwhelmed by loyalty to his cause. Like, I got to do this. I've trained for this. This is what I am. But also grief. And he fears consequences of his actions. He fears guilt about the future. He'll feel bad if he kills them, but if he doesn't and he lets down his brothers, that's a problem too. And he just kind of wants to disappear. He just wants to stay in Yinwood snake mode. And his chariot driver turns around and Krishna says, Krishna is his name. Krishna, chariot driver. He does not say anything to tell him to feel better. He doesn't make him feel better at all. Right? He does not tell him it will be okay, because nobody can. Instead, he reminds him that he has a role to perform. You're a warrior, so warrior. He reminds him that he has a responsibility, and his responsibility is action, not the outcome. You're not here to fix this, you're here to do the thing that may or may not fix it. You know? So the future, Krishna said, does not belong to you. And you cannot control results. All you can control is whether you act in alignment with your duty and do the work that is yours to do. So that's what we have to do. We have to do the work that is ours to do and not tie our identity to the results, not wait for perfect certainty to act. That's Gregorian calendar thinking, you know? And just be right where you are, be whatever you are. Horse year may not offer comfort. Sleep was for last year. But it's about movement and duty. It's go time. So in a horse year, many will experience a crisis of purpose and hesitation and fear, but many will not. Most will not. And so our way to align with this year is to just recognize what our unique role is. And we're going to get into the 12 animals and what each animal's role is in general. And of course, you need to look at your natal astrology just to get more details. But in general, remember that you don't control the future, and just step into your role and act. The future doesn't belong to you, but the present does. So do not struggle. Do not strive. Just know your role and humbly perform it. So, okay. So, I'm not going to spend too much time on the horse year in history. It'll be on the slides on the website for y'all later. But basically, we had 1906, 1966 vibes. Okay, so 1906 is San Francisco earthquakes, which happen in the summer. Also, the summer months are going to be the most volatile for us. Things should even out for all of us a little bit more as we get into the later half of the second half of the year, autumn, winter. But spring, summer is difficult. There will be little break points between seasons. So if we look back at 1906, there was also a lot of, the British launched this battleship called the Dreadnought, which was a battleship that made all other naval vessels obsolete. And then an arms race ensued, and that was part of what set the stage for World War I. There was also an international diplomatic crisis over Morocco that heightened tensions between the great powers in Europe, and also part of the setup for World War I. I'm not saying we're headed for World War III. I'm just telling you that we have a menu in front of us and we are selecting from every day with our actions of body, speech, and mind. So let's see what else. Oh, the Russian revolutionary movements were continuing in 1906 after the 1905 revolution. But also on the other side, this is a lot of aggressive, chaotic things, but there was also a lot of citizens speaking up. Gandhi launched the first mass civil resistance in South Africa in 1906, And 1966, think about how the people came into the streets during the Vietnam War era, and that really started during 1966. It got a lot bigger in the next several years because goat year is after horse year, and goat is let's all move as one herd, fighting about peace, right? So what else? Oh, but not only that, remember when I was talking about how we have this sense of value that we want our external world to reflect, that outer inner dynamic here? The SOS was adopted as an international distress signal in 1906. That's kind of cool, right? And also the FDA was established in response to public outrage about Upton Sinclair's The Jungle. So art has its place. I'll have to be in the military or rejecting what the military tells you to do, or, or violently protesting to be making a difference. You can also be writing your novel. It's fine. Just do your thing. In 1966, Mao Zedong launched the massive political movement, and the Red Guards were mobilized. Schools were closed. Intellectuals were persecuted. And social and cultural institutions were disrupted for a decade. The Vietnam War escalated. Protests. See what else? Guyana gained independence from Britain, and there were a lot of military coups and instability across Africa and parts of Africa and Asia. The themes of these 2 years, these last 2 fire horse years, were military escapism, political unrest, political upheaval, high intensity, sudden disruptions, bold, irreversible action. That's what we're talking about. Bold, irreversible action, like commit. It's like edge of the diving board. You gonna be that kid that turns around? I don't think so. Let's see. Do you want to show them that coin with the Pegasus on it? That's what I'm wearing a replica of this coin. We can talk about it later. That's the Pegasus thing. It's not technically Chinese astrology, so I won't. Yeah. Okay. We're ready for the next slide whenever you are. And then let's get into the horse profiles. Okay. 1906, famous horses in history. You can read them online, but like the ones I really want to tell you about are like Hannah Arendt, Samuel Beckett, Lou Costello, Josephine Baker. That's a good one, right? Kurt Gödel. Anybody? Okay. 1966, fire horses. We got Janet Jackson. We got Adam Sandler, Cindy Crawford, Mike Tyson, Gordon Ramsay. That was a fire horse. Other horses in history. P.T. Barnum was a horse. He wasn't a fire horse, but that's the kind of, Chopin, Clint Eastwood, Neil Armstrong, Franklin D. Actually, both Roosevelts. I think. Definitely Franklin D. was. Paul McCartney, Aretha Franklin, Joe Biden. Mao Zedong was a horse. Angela Merkel, Denzel Washington. Yeah, the other Roosevelt, Theo. Kobe Bryant. James Franco. So. So the annual auspices for the year. Politics, we've already got a lot of instability. So politics are going to be explosive, lots of arrogance, lots of irritation. It'll be difficult for our politicians to communicate mindfully. I'm not sure that's new for this year. It's important to remember our interconnection. So the American midterms are going to happen in Dog Month. So you'll see a lot of loyalty, energy, factionalism, that sort of thing, with that edgy fire horse quality to it. Politically, Snake Year was more about like secret missions and like, secret drone attacks and kidnappings and blowing up boats that, But Horse Year, by comparison, is a little bit more like, this is what's happening. It's a little bit more, the redcoats are coming. It's more overt and obvious action. And also overt, obvious political, public resistance. So we'll see a lot of organized and dedicated resistance, I think, across the globe. I'm expecting violence, but there's always violence. But it'll be especially inflamed this year. No secret about it. For business stuff, up and down, unstable, high creativity. This is a really big, this year has a lot of launch energy and innovation predominates. AI is always, we're going to say AI every year at this point. We're just going to say AI with different flavors. This will be AI of the horse flavor, which will mean creative and martial applications, like hopefully not robot dogs, but that kind of thing. deployed in the street. I hope not. I hope not. But that kind of technology is going to get built this year. Hopefully, it won't get used. Risks are risky in any fire year. A fire horse year, no difference. So build in adaptability into your plans for business and otherwise. Horse energy does have a lot of leadership capacity. So entrepreneurism is going to be big. We'll see really dynamic markets. In fact, it'll be really interesting to see whether existing financial structures that guarantee our economy will make it. There was just last week an article in the New York Times saying, hey, you know that safe piece of the market that you had that was really diversified and was like kind of, you know, would only go down along with the whole entire market if the market goes down, but then you hang on, it'll go back in. Yeah, that's not necessarily safe because that's only representing like this portion of things, and there's a lot of innovation, and so now there's like, but we don't know which thing is going to emerge. So your broad investment profile is not really broad, and it's not really necessarily durable. So that's a thing. If you have money, you get to have that problem. Yay. Yay for having that problem. Those of you who have that problem. So yeah, that's business and geopolitics. Let's talk about romance. This is a good romance year, bromance in particular. Expect there is a lot of availability for passion, as with any fire year, but there's also going to be like a lot of terms renegotiating because horse brings things to the surface. So it's like, okay, actually this is toxic. It could, is the kind of conversation that could happen in the home. And fire horses are very independent. Of all of the 5 different types of horses, fire horses are the ones that, are of the 5 maybe less likely to partner and are really comfortable being single. I mean, horses are very in the barnyard, so they like to collaborate and they like to do the standard cultural, okay, we all do this in this way, picket fence, 2.5 children, dog, cat. They can do that because they're in the barnyard. They're not like dragons and tigers, which are just like something another. But they're more comfortable with like, they need to have their own independence in a way. So you'll see people wanting to reinvent their relationships and address deeper issues. A lot of people proudly single. There will be lots of energy with meeting people because there will be like a nice balance this year of knowing who you are while also collaborating with others. But the central questions in relationships will be like, okay, do we respect one another? Are we aligned? Are we doing real teamwork? Yeah. So social life, this is a big year for social life. For embracing people and forming alliances. So whatever residual habits, as I was saying at the beginning, that we had from COVID, which was that rat year, which kind of put us all in our own little, rat nest thing, and got us into the habit of sequestering. We're going to shake that off and actually meet in person and actually put the date on the calendar, or actually just like invite a bunch of people over and see what happens. Or, this is even a year where people might knock on doors without texting first, which used to be normal. So what would that be like if you had people you were so comfortable with that you would just be like, I made a little bit too much soup. Why don't you just come over and eat it? Like right now? You mean without... So check and see if that happens. Let's see. Health, excitement can wear us down. So build in self-care. There might be like more of a tendency toward stress and exhaustion, definitely inflammatory diseases, burnout, circulatory system stuff, hypertensive flares. Also, there can be nervous cognitive issues like memory issues and confusion and anxiety. Issues of toxic blood like derm issues, autoimmune issues. Those are really well handled with natural medicine, so try if you can. Watch for overstimulation and watch for poor sleep, take care of your sleep, regular movement, clean food, diet. Like support looks boring, which is why it works. Routine, hydration, boundaries. This year is going to drain anyone who's running on adrenaline and identity. So one of the worst things you can do for your health is like over-identification with the stuff that you think is important to do or to accomplish. Yeah. So, spiritually, we're going to see interest in warriorship. I wouldn't be surprised if we get like a resurgence of fitness-based martial arts kind of discipline-oriented stuff. This is not really the year where people are going to be like, I think I want to practice on pure equanimity. This is going to be about path work that highlights discipline and training and warriorship and even on a personal development level, even if it isn't like fully spiritual, there's going to be a tendency to have like breakthrough narratives. And then I realized, and after that, like that kind of like fire element breakthrough realization kind of idea will be really big this year. So caution around interest in risk-based spirituality that might burn you out, or caution infatuation with like the fireworky, look what I can do, kind of I want to do this spirituality so that I can have this fancy city and be like better than everybody. Like don't do that. It's gonna give you health problems or a really weird death that you actually might be able to navigate, but you also might really fuck up. So please don't, unless you do, and then you'll probably built for it. So good for you. In this year, like people want to know they're alive. So spiritual paths with like a risk struggle ratio is going to be kind of interesting. Remember that the best spiritual practices are simple. It's like acting authentically and without clinging to outcome is a pretty high level spiritual practice, right? It doesn't involve a expensive training program and it's free. You just have to self-reflect, which is also free. You just have to actually do it. So it's going to be an interesting adjustment period, right? We're already in a tiger month. This is the first day of a tiger month. It's a water tiger month. It's a big one. And in June, July, when we have horse month and horse year, it will be a fire horse month. It isn't always. It just happens to be this year that we're going to get a fire horse month of all of the 5. We're going to get the fire one in the fire horse year. So please take care of yourself leading up to June, July, and take care of yourself. And whatever goes down in June and July, you're going to really, really feel your community in goat month in July, August. So, yeah, and then Lunar New Year next year is going to start with a fire goat, a yang fire tiger month. So that's going to be an interesting year. There's going to be a lot of content. We're going to be looking at a new year. So let's go by animal. The pictures are cute, so maybe you'll show them a little bit. But anyway, they'll be on the website too. But yeah, go ahead and show. Rat. Okay, raise your hand if you're a rat. While you look at the picture, raise your hand if you're no rats in here. Or you're all afraid to say because it's horse here. It's like 2 of you. All the rats are like, I'm like, la, 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 it's not horse here. That's what all the rats are saying. This is the diametric of the year's energy. Some diametrics in Chinese astrology are totally fine. But horses need a herd and they have a personality within a group. And then the group has dynamics. Rats participate in group activity, but it's not like because they coordinated it. You know what I mean? And they're very powerful characters. But rats, this year can feel a little too loud and fast and overt for you. And your medicine is role clarity plus resource management. Where's my rat over here? Yeah. Role clarity and resource management for the rats in the room and out there, okay? Make sure your budget is organized and you'll probably be fine. Just protect your energy. Your contribution to the cause is organization and strategy. You got that? Comrade. Okay. Okay, ox. You can show us while you look at the ox picture. All right, we've got 1, 2, only 2, 3, 4. A little bit of begrudging, 5. Little begrudging oxes. Okay, oxen. This is like a plus minus year. You are unruffled characters in general. This is going to be a fast and furious year for you, and it may come with challenges to your personal relationships. Summer will be harder because it'll be speedy. Even spring is going to be a little challenging because Earth likes things stable and steady, and wood energy of spring is never that easy for the ox, unless maybe you're a wood ox. Summer is going to be too too changeable. But it'll get easier as we get into autumn. Oh, and ox, you're going to get breaks between the seasons, right? So watch those like cross-quarter times. Like we've just been in a break between the seasons. Like we just started spring. This has been like a little transition Earth element time. Okay, so yeah, look for those midpoints between the solstices and equinox. So you provide the steady, you know. Your contribution to the cause, steadiness and work ethic. Steadiness and work ethic. All right. Next, okay, tiger. This is an excellent year for my tigers. How many tigers do I have? Who is everybody? If there's only 3, I mean, there's like more than 30 people in this room, and like, okay, just like little time. Okay, so opportunities abound, new friendships, alliances, career growth, travel. Careful being over competitive, tigers, which is always the advice for tigers. Basically, it can kind of hurt you. So, you like the big moving years because you're okay with big movements and big changes. Who are my tigers? You. Okay. Okay. So tigers are very changeable. Just don't burn up. Remember that tigers have like the orange stripe and the black stripe. So get your rest, and you should be good. Your contribution to the cause, world bridging. World bridging. Okay, where are my rabbits? Okay, 1, 2. Sneaky tigers not saying. Okay, rabbits. So I think rabbits are probably the ones who are the most nervous about the years from what I'm hearing at least. Horse is overt and rabbit is subtle. And so this can kind of feel like you're forced to perform under fluorescent lights, you know? But friends will help you. So trust your intuition as always, rabbits. That's what the game is for you. And protect your rest. This is actually a growth year for rabbits. It's not a double negative. It's like a equal negative. It's a good year with strong caution. Specific caution is that rabbits kind of can make the mistake of thinking that they don't like horse energy because horse energy is so clear that it seems kind of gauche to them, you know? And they think that because what they're doing is subtle, that it's better. But we need to do things in the world too. So this is the year that rabbits can do really well if they go, oh, my thing is just my thing. My thing is not better than the horse thing. And so my thing still has a place. I can influence this whole thing just by having my friends and listening to my intuition, right? I'm going to affect this by affecting the people who will do it. Not in everyone in this culture likes to say that it's bad to be manipulative. But what would it look like if we stripped the negative connotation away from manipulation, the idea of manipulation, right? The energy of doing things indirectly. Well, but it doesn't have to be like for your own end, right? It can just be it's just a different type of movement, right? So visible action is not, this is the key, rabbits and rabbit friends, from the horse's mouth. For all of us, I think, visible action is not less spiritual. And we've all been like ingrained with this idea that it's not spiritual if it's plainly in front of you, but it is, you know, seva. Volunteering is a very visible spiritual action that feels great and really catapults growth. You know, if you're not like doing, for everybody, you know, if you're not doing some kind of volunteer work, this is a great way to ghost bust in your life, is do some volunteer work with your hands. Don't just like, you know, donate to your favorite cause on that lunation that you like every month. Like actually get out of your house and go do a thing. Put some hours behind something and it'll just like, your ancestors will be like, oh, and help you. And then everything like coordinates and aligns. And it's really nice. The ghosts really, it's really a nice thing to do. So anyway, back to rabbits. Your contribution is quiet influence plus resting so you do not get crispy. Comrades. Okay. Dragon. Do I have some dragons here? All right. Oh, all the dragons are here. Yes. Bunch of dragons. There you are.
Impressive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Dragons and horses, you know, they do well together because they're like, we can all go fast. We can go fast. Dragons are like, no, you can't. You know, you're not going fast. You think you're going fast? Dragons can't really ever be afflicted. They're the ones who don't really need to come to this because they can just kind of do. Ming used to say that they're the Swiss Army knife of animals. They're a little bit of a piece of all of the 12. And so they don't need to be told anything. But that can actually get in your way, dragons. Dragons actually kind of have a hard time with intimacy. You know, you're great at leadership, dragons. And so you're used to dealing with others, but there's often kind of a sense of pride that may leave you feeling emotionally stranded. And then when dragons realize their emotional isolation, they can't really understand why they aren't connecting because they're doing all this stuff to like help people and they're smart and have all these like different ways they can they're unconsciously competent, right? And they are doing so much and they are so great. But the difference with horse is horse doesn't hover above the way that dragon does. It's like in it and it's like in it together. So the competitive can come out in this time as dragons try to get down in it, but they aren't really sure how. They kind of still, like dragons can be kind of awkward. Like they kind of create awkward social situations. Like, I heard community is important. Let's do community. Yeah, I'm inviting you all here. Oh, you don't really have anything to do with each other and you don't get along. And I'm pretty sure that you, I just introduced you to each other and that one is your ex-boyfriend. Oh, that's kind of you all. You know, sorry. That's very dragon. So, you know, dragon trying to be, you know, but we love our dragons. So none of us will know that you have anxiety this year because you're really good at playing it off. The year kind of feels backward for you because dragon's native element is earth, and this is a fire year. So it's like going in the reverse direction, and it's the co-cycle, right? So dragons are kind of like, are things really going to move forward? So they don't get disturbed disturbed overtly to the degree that they'll say, I feel anxious. They'll just feel anxious and then play it off really well, and only the most self-reflective dragons will even observe it happening because it's the kind of thing they'll naturally want to push away. So dragons, we can't do it without you. Your contribution to the cause is leadership without domination. Yeah, so lead us. Show us your awesome things to do, but just don't control. Yeah, let others work according to their skill. You don't have to save or impress anybody. They never save people, but they do want to impress. They do save people. They fix a lot of things. Anyway, Swiss Army knives, useful. All right, snakes. How many snakes do we have? One. One snake came out of her hole. Wow, really? Really amazing. Okay. Last year was your year. This year is a big transition, but it's entirely perfect because of all the inspiration that this year expresses, this horse year. It comes from the truth that snake reveals. So I see this in the field that people say, oh, horse is so different than snake. They don't really have anything to do with each other. But I, as a horse, am completely fascinated by snake energy. It's really my favorite because I'm like, what? What's that? You know? And it's because horse is doing the thing that snake shows. So for the snakes, that's totally fine because it's like, okay, back to usual where, you know, everybody acts like all of that stuff isn't going on. You know, they're just kind of used to being in this yeah, like standing at the water cooler and talking about the TV show that everyone is, Severance, I don't know, that everyone is talking about without actually revealing anything about their personal life. So it sounds like they're communicating with you, but they're not. They're not showing you anything. How are you? Great. How are you? The other person's like, well, my mother's in town and she drives me crazy. And there was this thing that happened to me when I was a little girl. And, like snakes are just not going to do that. And when they do, they're like, okay, I'm going to try to be vulnerable here. Or it's such profound intimacy that it's really snakes. I love snakes. So last year was your terrain. Your native element is fire. So this year is also fire. You're going to be just fine. The only reason that this year could be rough for snakes is if you avoided what you already knew, because snakes know. Snakes know just like rabbits, a little different but they know in a different way, but they know. So your contribution to the cause, vision. Yeah. Okay. Horses. Do we have horses? All right. Woo! Lots of horses. Good. Yeah. Hello. Welcome, horses. Okay. All right. Tricky year. It's your year, which means both opportunity and risk. It's kind of like a plus-minus year, like snake and dragon, plus-minus, right? Lots of opportunity, lots of movement, the good kind. May move house, follow career expansion, changes, friendships, but keep some jing for later. My homework assignment for horses is do not let other people, let me start over. My homework assignment for horses is this. Learn to let other people solve at least some of their own problems. This is an act of generosity. It's true. Don't rob them of their own karmic algebra. It's for them, and you can't really rescue them. When you think you can, that's delusion, and that's aggression, and it doesn't belong there. So when you notice you're doing that, that's your cue to stop. Don't plead with them to see the thing that's so obvious. This is obvious, Horse, brightness, it's obvious. They're trying, don't try to convince someone of what's completely plain. Let them work it out on their own because that's their learning process that they need to go through. If you do that, you're actually incurring karma for yourself, and you could really be messing them up. So get over yourselves and conserve your energy. Horse, you need discipline. Everybody in a horse year needs discipline. But you really need discipline so that you can work for everyone's benefit. So stop and rest, and caution spring and summer. you know. It's not neglect to focus on your own thing. Your contribution to the cause is pragmatism and get it done power. Yeah. Okay, goats. Yeah, we got some goats. We got some good goats. All right. Goats, this is a really big year for you. Very, very good year. Double, like plus, plus, goats. I know. Y'all have had the last several years have really been difficult. Ever since I would say tiger year. Like tiger year was tough. It's been a rough ride. Goat has a very uniquely special compatibility with horse. So you probably get along well with horse energy, with horse people and horse year for sure. Horse energy is like the Confucian comrade energy for public life, and goat is that Confucian energy for home and family a lot. It doesn't mean that they can't also be very effective in private life. It's just some of that stuff is also chart dependent. Like, are your stars, you know, your fate in your natal chart, is it more like public facing placement or private facing placement? So there could be some upheavals, but you'll know how to deal with it. And your year is coming next year. So this is a good one for you anyways. You can really make a strong start on things, anything that you've been holding out on doing. So productive, a couple tough cycles, but you'll be fine. Your contribution to the cause is collaboration and harmonizing. Yeah. You guys, you make people feel really good because you hear the group energy. It's really nice. Yeah. Okay, monkeys. Do we have monkeys? Monkeys. Oh, monkeys. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Okay. Okay, monkeys. This is like a plus minus here. This year's a little too straightforward for you. Monkeys don't like to speak plainly or identify themselves. In fact, there's probably some monkeys who didn't raise their hand. Everything is obscuration. Like, it's play at what is not to get at what is. Like trying on costumes. Like, that's really how monkeys operate. And so the outward energy of the horse year provides opportunities for you to develop community. And so you'll actually be able to meet a lot of people. It'll kind of push you out to meet people, and you don't have to tell them who you really are. You can, like, you know, go incognito, just wear a disguise, but meet people and contribute and play. It could impact business and personal life too, really nicely. So even though you like the clever angles, the social momentum will benefit monkey and open up new opportunities for you. Okay, creative thinking and adaptability is your contribution, all right? So that's your contribution to the cause, creative thinking and adaptability. Okay, good. Roosters. Rooster. So interesting. Have like, it was dragons and horses and goats. It's like filling up this audience. Very interesting. Okay, so we should do this at the beginning next time because then I'll know how to cater the talk. Yeah, or name tags. Yeah, like we do in Chinese astrology class in the Zoom call. I make everyone change their name to their year and element so that we. Yeah. So okay, you roosters. This is kind of like a okay, like equal / minus, like good. It's an okay year, fine year with a caveat, like a specific caution. So roosters are very cerebral people, and this is a very visceral year. You will not like the loss of control. Who's my rooster back there? My one. You. Okay. Oh, hi. You won't like the loss of control. Words won't fix it. You might get upset. That could make things worse for you. Are there some roosters in the group? Are we getting any Zoom roosters? We're talking to Zoom roosters. So, yeah, there are some Zoom roosters. Hi. Yeah, words won't fix it. You're going to get upset, and that could make it worse for you, but also everybody. So cool your ambition and just watch what's happening because this isn't the year to explain it all back to us the way that you do. I mean, cock-a-doodle-doo is like, we know that, we already know. In fact, some of us are trying to ignore that, but roosters, so we don't want to know that the sun is rising because we already got it. So just wait to explain it all back to us in another year, and let it cook. Your intellect is so sharp, and you can really put things together and make associations and get to the salient nugget. So just be gentle with others and be gentle with yourself, please. Yeah, your contribution to the cause is clear observation and pattern recognition. Yeah. Okay, winding down here. Where are my dogs? Dogs. Okay. Very harmonious year. Dogs and tigers and horses are a famous trio. They're the martial trio, right? Remember I was telling you about horses riding into battle where they're running right alongside the dogs, So this is a very harmonious year. Find your people, work on your projects, surprises, benefits. Yeah, you're getting a lot of new people, right now. So it's gonna lock in new career opportunities. Potentially, dogs may move house or make some big movements, whatever, but with strengthened alliances. So you gotta just, you commit to the pack, it'll be great. And your contribution to the cause is loyalty and real relationship. Okay? Okay, pigs. Wow, this is such an interesting group. One pig. How about online? Do we have some pigs? A lot of pigs online. They're the comfort-oriented ones. That's why, Bahadur's over here in his hat, he's got his zipper pulled all the way up. He's basically dressed in a blanket. He's like, this is past my bedtime. What are you doing? And I'm like, because we're organizing for the mission. He's like, pigs just want to relax and have comfort. So it's a good year. It's a good year for pigs. It's been a couple difficult year for pigs. The past year or two was very uncomfortable. And you're going to come into more power this year. However, it's not really a settled year for you. You're strong, but you need to work on flexibility as an essential attribute to use that strength well. So careful spring and summer, go easy, easier in the autumn, winter. Turn your attention to helping your friends and family who you see struggling. Yeah. Your contribution to the cause, care. Good. So that's what I have prepared for you. Let's have some questions before we close. I know it's been long and we got started late, but let's have some questions. We'll take some questions from the crowd first, and then we'll move on to some questions online. Adam is gonna select some of those. So, yes.
Please help your Indian spiritual people to understand yang fire. Does it also include the power of digestion? Because we've had so much change and so much change is possible, does that yang energy also encourage digestion and transformation of that?
Transformation, yes, but transformation on all levels. So medically speaking, this is not specifically a year that's about digestion. If you have a question about that, then we might want to look at your specific chart and see what's happening in your health. But in general, transformation on all the levels.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Alan.
What was the horse's contribution to the cause again this year?
Oh, pragmatism and something.
Getting things
Get it
done.
done.
Get it done power. Yeah, comrade. Adam, what do we have from the crowd?
No questions so far. Just a lot of hand clapping.
A lot of hand clapping. Okay. Yeah, good. Well, it's been so wonderful to be with everyone tonight, and we're gonna put that QR code somewhere for you so that we can make sure that we get some money to FVLC. Thank you so much to Blue Willow. Thank you so much. Yes. Yes. Allie, Celia, Corinne, Nico in Japan out there. Yeah, thank you so much, Blue Willow, for giving us this beautiful space. Hi. And I'm really happy to meet you all. I'm going to stick around a little bit so if anyone wants to say hi. And we have lots of Lunar New Year snacks. So please eat some snacks. Yeah, and after parties at my house. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.